can if you want. You can edit it whenever you want to. I put all your guys' information down in the like description stuff too, so hopefully everything's good down there.
Cool. Kat, you do the exact opposite slant than I did. Like, wow.
That's great.
I like to be different, okay?
So do I.
I love that color though. It's a great color.
Thank you. I just did it yesterday.
I was gonna say, last I knew you were still blonde.
Yeah, I did it yesterday. I can't have just a normal color. I can't do it. So, pink it was.
Pink's great.
It looks awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are officially live. I'm seeing some numbers pop up on here. So hello, everybody that is currently watching. We're having some just sort of hangout sprint sort of stuff for my birthday, which is tomorrow. I will be turning 32, so that's exciting. But mostly just wanted to do some more sprints on my channel in general, and so I figured might as well just start in January, you know, get some stuff going on. So I'm assuming if people are here, they probably know who I am. Hello, I see some people popping into the chat now. But if you guys wanted to introduce yourselves, your channels, that kind of stuff, whoever wants to go first.
Sure, I'll go. So I'm Michelle from Michelle Reads YA. This is my first live, so I'm very excited. Thanks for having me.
Yay, we're happy to have you.
So happy to have you.
Oh my god, my cat's about to attack me.
Oh no, what?
Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm Kat. I'm from Kat's Book Corner. This is my second live. The first one I ever did was with Z, so.
And I guess, hi, I'm Z, and I'm with You Can't Catch Z, and this is my fifth live stream, I think. So.
Nice. You're probably the most experienced of all of us then. I
didn't run most of them, though. I only ran 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty similar, except for then you get to have all the technology back here. Because I've done a couple live streams, like for reading sprints, and then I've done a couple like discussion stuff, because I'm currently like in the group that's doing the saga live stream discussion stuff. I think we have one coming up next week, so that'll be fun, because I haven't read the next 2 volumes yet, so... But it's comics, so we're good. We're good.
Yeah, you breeze through those.
I can do that all in like a couple hours. We're good.
Right.
Okay, so anybody reading anything good or bad or not reading? Iron Widow. I loved Iron Widow. Spoilers for the video that came out this week. It was my top book of 2021.
Really?
So,
it was on my list. It was
somewhere
on my list.
I'm actually listening to the audiobook.
Is it good?
Yeah.
It's really good. See, I have a problem with reading and wanting to pronounce languages. So if I'm not like versed enough, like with certain books, I will mess up the name and then I'll hear it and I'm like, oh wow, I butchered that. So I like listening to them. Like I listened to Shadow of the Fox, the whole series, and it's Japanese inspired. So there's a lot of Japanese inspired names. And I was like, I wouldn't have gotten that. Like I would have totally butchered it. So with Iron Widow, it's the same thing. A lot of the names are Chinese inspired. So it's kind of like, okay, I would have never known how to pronounce that correctly. So,
well, I think that was one thing that I actually was proud of myself for, because my husband is Chinese. Like from China, he came to the States for his grad school and then stayed. And so a lot of it, I was like, ooh, I actually know what this is. Not all the words I knew what they meant, but some of them I did. And I was like, I know what that word is. Because I'm not nearly fluent or anything, but I was like, okay, I know what that is.
So, yeah, so I'm listening to it. I'm also working on stuff for my D&D campaign while I listen to it. So.
Oh, fun.
Spoilers.
I'm not telling you what it is.
I'm reading The Liar's Knot. That's the book 2 in the Mask of Mirrors series so far. I've been not struggling, but I've been slowly reading it for the first 200 pages. Has anybody read The Mask of Mirrors?
No, I don't even know what it's about.
I bought it and I didn't read it.
It's It's the story of our lives. It's like, I don't really know how to describe what it's about, but there's a lot going on, and it's like epic political fantasy, and it's like very, I don't really want to say atmospheric. It's kind of atmospheric, but it's like there's different kinds of magic. One of them is like dream based, one of them is kind of like numbers based, and then like numerology kind of based, and then something kind of tarot based. And it's very like Venetian, and there's a lot happening, and you can't like, it's very political and intriguey, so you can't like read it all in like one sitting, otherwise you miss everything that happens. So I'm just like taking it very slowly.
Okay.
I'm reading a book for the Alphabet Project. It's called Every Moment After, and it's a YA contemporary, and it's also like really heavy. So I have been putting it like down. I'm reading like romances instead. But since we're here, I figured might as well read it.
Make you read it.
Make myself read it.
Okay. And then for anybody in the chat, if you want to share what you're reading too, that's great. I'm currently reading Vengeful.
That's what won the poll, huh?
It did win the poll by a lot, actually. I even called it like when it was like a couple points ahead, and then as soon as I like posted the story that this won, I had like it like shot up again. Like people are like, yes, do it. So yeah, Vicious was on my January TBR, so like that's why I read that one. And really enjoyed it. I also had the comics that were written last year, but they technically go between book 1 and 2. So I read those too because I was like, that's easy. I'll read the comics. But then I was like, do I just abandon the rest of my TBR? And basically, yeah. So I did not read anything yesterday because I was feeling super gross and pregnant and nauseous yesterday, even though like my nausea, I thought it went away like 2 weeks ago, but it came back and I just didn't do anything yesterday. But I read like 200 pages of this the day before. So very quick to get into. I'm not entirely sure if I'm liking it as much as the first one because they've added new characters in, but I like the concept of the story and everything because it's like that weird superhero, supervillain, extraordinary powers, but like all the characters so far are very morally gray. So it's very like, you don't really know who's going to do what and what's going to happen next. So I do like that idea. And then Air of Fire.
Ooh.
That's the
Sarah
Sarah
Glass, right? Yeah, it's Throne of Glass.
Yeah, I don't think I've read that one. I've started Throne of Glass forever ago. Liked it, but I didn't, like I was reading them when the paperbacks were coming out, and then like Air of Fire wasn't on paperback when I was first reading them. So
Air of Fire is actually the one that finally got me hooked into the series because I was like, Throne of Glass, I actually DNF'd the first time I ever read it. I was like, I can't do this. This is terrible. And then I read it a second time just because I heard that it got a lot better after that. And then I read, I don't even remember the order anymore, Crown of Midnight. And I was like, this is okay. And then I got to Air of Fire and I was like, this is awesome.
I do find that interesting sometimes with authors. I don't know if it's all the times with the just like new series, but I know sometimes new authors where like you read like the debut book and it's like, oh, it's good enough, but you're not entirely too sure about it. And then all of a sudden they like come into their own and you're like, okay, yes, we're good.
Yeah, all the time.
And then we have X-Men and the Avengers Gamma Quest Omnibus.
Ooh.
So it's like a crossover, I'm assuming. That could be fun.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no idea about, but looked interesting. I mean, hey, I do that with my like Hoopla apps and everything, the library apps. Who knows what this is, but it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free. And then Stolen Air.
What's that?
I'm not sure if I know what that is. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it could be very familiar, but without an author, I'm lost.
Or cover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right?
Made both. Do I need to look this up?
I know.
I mean, Rye can always pop back in if she wants to with an author. I mean, it definitely sounds like if it's something that like just the name, I feel like it's probably like fantasy, maybe YA fantasy. Because I mean, obviously, a Stolen Air.
I am very curious.
Very interesting.
I was going to say, I knew Kat was going to start Googling it.
Google.
Sophie Lark.
Oh,
See, it
Sophie
sounds
Lark.
familiar.
Okay, yeah. I got you. TikTok.
Oh, okay.
No,
I got
I'm not
you
on
right.
TikTok.
We're on the same page.
I'm not either. Sometimes I'll see people like on Instagram that are like doing the same sort of stuff that the people on TikTok are currently doing. Okay, so it's like a romance.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I love that. Stolen Air. And I'm like, YA fantasy. Maybe.
We're so wrong.
No, I can
little
see
bit
it as
off.
like a historical romance
The cover doesn't look historical.
at all.
The cover
I
looks like
know.
almost dark romance.
Right. I don't know. I'm hit or miss with dark romances, so like it would be one thing that like I would be like, maybe I'm curious, maybe I'm not. And then I would see if people like it like in their wrap-ups and stuff.
I'm a wimp with dark romance, so
I don't know. I prefer like the slow burn, angsty, they like each other, but nobody knows. Sort of like fluffy ones.
I like the fluff, but if it's a slow burn, I'm just like, let's go, let's just get it going.
Oh, see, I'll read Mariana Zapata. I love Mariana Zapata. And
my God.
she'll like take you like 700 pages without anything but a handhold, maybe. Like it's like K-dramas too. Like they take like 20 episodes to get to anything. I'm like, please give me more.
Oh
No,
no.
see, I promise you, because I am the same way with slow burn romance, where I'm just like, all right, can we get it on already? Like, let's
Yeah,
just.
like
move
I'm reading
this
this for a
along.
reason.
No,
I'm
no,
reading this book for a
Mariana
reason.
Zapata, I swear to you, I know what kind of books you like. Try it.
Okay.
I think
All right.
Mariana Zapata does seem to cross over into like she is slow burn. Like if you're looking for slow burn romance books,
Okay.
she is always the person that I would recommend because it
I'm
is
looking up on my
the
app right
epitome
now.
of slow burn. But at the same time, I feel like even people that like more of like the quicker fire lusty stuff still like her a lot.
Okay.
How you say the last name or spell the last name?
Zapata.
What has she written?
Like
Anything you would
So
know?
Wall of Winnipeg was
and
the
Me
first
was
one
the
I
first
read.
one.
Okay.
That was the first one I read. And then so a
Under
lot
Lock
of hers are
was
like
really good.
Or what?
Oh, Winnipeg.
Under Lock.
Oh.
I don't think I've read
I
that one.
see
That one's a
Underlock on
motorcycle
here.
club one.
It was
She
amazing.
does a lot of
Huh?
I want to. I think I have the ebook of it. I just haven't read it yet. Like one of my goals that I never said out loud in my goals video, but one of the goals I want to try and do this year is to read more of her because I haven't read her in a couple years. But like every single book that I have read is 4 stars or more. Like I just love
The
them.
only ones that I haven't read by her are the ones that have come out recently. Like she's got a small town one that I haven't read yet, and she's got so Zach from the Wall of Winnipeg, like the best friend, he got a story I think last year.
Oh,
and I haven't
okay.
read
Like Hands Down, probably. I haven't read that
Yeah.
one.
Yep,
But yeah,
that's
so
it.
Wall of Winnipeg and Hands Down are both football. And then my favorite is Wait For It, which is baseball.
Yes! Oh my god, wait for
That's
it.
my
is
favorite.
absolute favorite.
That's so good.
Okay, and they're on Kindle Unlimited?
They are.
Maybe?
They are.
They are.
I'm like, I
Okay.
just subscribed to Kindle Unlimited. Haven't
It's
even like
great.
done it yet. But
How
like,
much is it?
So right now they have a special, I think it's like 3 months free right now, and then it's $10 a month,
mhm.
Okay,
which
that's worth
isn't,
it.
it's so worth it. And like as soon as you get one, you can return it and get another one. But I love it.
It's been something that I've been wanting to do because
Yeah.
especially with them, it seems like they have a lot of romance, like indie romance, especially. Like almost everybody is in Kindle Unlimited. And so this year I was like, oh, I'm gonna go on a book buying ban. But if I have Kindle Unlimited, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Yeah. I did the same exact thing with like audiobook subscriptions as well. So I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, I was
really-
telling I think I was exactly telling my husband like in December, I was like, so here's my plan. I'm not going to do this. I have like one book box. Like I'm going to just do this instead. And what if I did Kindle Unlimited? He's like, are you just trying to get more books? And I'm like, yes.
But it's so,
Yeah,
it's like, it
obviously.
seriously is unlimited books as long as they're available. And then $10, that's nothing. It's
No.
That's how I
$2.
feel about Scribd because
Yeah,
like
I love Scribd.
love Scribd. I got out of my Kindle Unlimited phase because I was reading a lot less romance, and like their fantasy and sci-fi is good, but the selection is not always necessarily great. So I gave up on that and spent it on Scribd instead.
I just sent Scribd like a passionate email about how I need 3 times speed, and I was like, please, I will do anything. I'll give you more money.
Focus.
I don't care.
I can't focus on even
It took me a really long time. Like, I can't do anything else except listen to the book, but like I get through them so fast and I feel very accomplished. So.
Good for you.
I mean, it's impressive because I feel like my top limit is sometimes 2.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, depending on who the narrator is, I'm like, I can't understand you. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. It definitely depends on the narrator for me.
2 is like my go-to average. Like I do 2 times speed on average. And if it's a super slow narrator, I can bump it up to like 2.1.
Yeah.
And if it's a super fast narrator, I got to bump it down to like 1.75.
Yeah.
Super
I usually,
slow narrators are so weird. Sometimes, like I was reading, so this was last year. I tried out Desperate Measures, which is not my thing because it is literally erotica. It's the Katie Roberts.
Yeah,
sort of
Katie Roberts erotica.
villains. I'm demisexual, so like on the asexuality spectrum, and so that's part of the reason I love slow burn so much. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it out just to see if the plot. There's not much plot, but the narrator for the guy, I had it on, I think 2 times speed or something, and he was still going too slow. And so I was like, what does this sound like normally? And I turned it like off onto like 1 time speed, and I was just like, I can't. I could not. The narrator for me personally was just, it was horrible. It was just, it grossed me out.
I swear,
how weird it was, especially when he was trying to do like the smut talk. Like,
narrators make it or break it for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I will like let them know in the review. I'm like, what was this? Please.
I tried listening. Yeah. It was like a, I don't know, like a mass market paperback, like grocery store romance author. Like I don't remember what her name was, but it was like one of those. And it was like a jungle romance kind of a thing. Like they're lost in the jungle and he's trying to protect her or something. But the narrator sounded like she was 70 years old.
Oh no.
And so when you got to like a sex scene, you were just kind of like, oh God, it's my grandma.
Yeah, I tried to listen to the Chloe Brown on audiobook, and she literally is 60 in real life, and I was like, why is she narrating this? She's in Bridgerton, and I was like, what the fuck? So don't recommend that.
Same thing with Chloe Brown. I was like, why do you sound?
And she was 60 I looked it up. I was like, why does she sound like a grandma? And she was 60, and I was like, hey,
hey, grandma's got to get some too.
Hey, if they're going to do that, great.
Whatever.
There are some good like older romances out there. Like if you really want to do that, but if your character is supposed to be like in her 30s,
I thought it was so weird. I like went so far as to look it up, and I was like, okay, well.
I don't think I wanted to know. I just like put it in my head, like maybe she smokes 3 packs a day.
See, I like a good raspy voice, but if she sounds like old, it's not gonna.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, that's rough. That clarified for me.
Some of my favorite narrators that I listened to last year, because that's how I got into the books, the Ice Planet Barbarian series on audio, both of them are amazing.
Really?
Like, some of my favorite narrators, I think.
I just listened to it
with each book so far that I've listened to, but I don't know. They made the experience. Like, I just was like, yep, okay, I'm good. Sounds good.
My favorite book series is a little controversial. It's The Mortal Instruments, and I tried listening to City of Bones. I tried listening to City of Bones, and
No, those narrators are bad, because I tried to do it. I was trying to get through, what is it, City of Fallen Angels?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
On audio, and I was like, I cannot listen to you people.
No, it's so bad.
I don't think I've ever tried them on audio, but I first read the first book when it first came out.
Same.
And like kept up with the original series and the Infernal Devices like when they were coming out. So I don't think I'd ever be able to like actually try it, because I've read them so many times now that like I could probably just like fly through them. I've read the first book probably at least like 10 times.
Wow.
I read the first book when it first came out and was great.
I'm obsessed
by the ending. So I was like, I don't know that I am comfortable with this. And then I took a break probably until, I don't know, maybe high school, maybe.
Okay.
Like, I read them like after she had started getting into like the Clockwork series. Okay. And then I was like, all right, I heard that it gets better. I'll go and give it another shot. And I was like, oh, good, they're not related.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, see, I don't think I didn't mind too much that because I was always rooting for Simon, and so I was like, a reason for them not to be together, and then it, you know,
yeah.
and then it turned out the way it turned out anyway. But I was always just rooting for Simon the whole time, so I was like, oh, good, Jace can go away, Simon can come back in.
My thought was, I was like, Jace can be mine now. We're not related.
Right?
Did you guys watch the Freeform series at all?
I
Was it-
actually
what
loved
did you
it.
think? Did you?
I didn't like the first season when they tried to do a little bit too much different stuff. But once they got past that and got, I think, a new writer or director, I liked it a lot better.
I only watched the first season, and I've only read the first book, I think, so I was very confused.
Well, that first season was like most of it was not even related to the actual.
That's what
book.
I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard.
And then they started to
like,
actually bring stuff back in after that. But yeah, the first season, I was like, what are we even doing?
What's
right
happening?
I liked the movie better.
The movie was pretty good
like
too.
the
I wish
movie's
we would have
good.
continued that.
I was thinking like, okay, take the Jace and Clary from the movie, put them in the TV show, make the TV show accurate to the books. Because I loved Simon and Izzy and Alec and Magnus. Like, I loved them. But I was just like, I can't stand this Jace and Clary.
Yeah.
I can't stand them. Is John there? Hi, John.
Oh no, that was Jake's.
Oh, hi, Jake.
You see the paw.
Hold on. This was
Just
her
a paw.
favorite.
No, I love Jake.
I don't want it. Stop. I don't want it.
Okay, well, I guess we're here for reading sprints, right?
All right.
So let's start with like a 20-minute reading sprint. So we'll, I say it's 10:23, so we'll like come back at 10:43 or 44, depending on when it does. So let's start with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's.
I'm gonna mute myself now.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute.
I should probably.
Okay, I think we're back. Because I'm still looking on a computer screen. So I will volunteer as tribute to be the time reminder.
If you want, I will let you.
No objections.
Okay, how did it go? Anybody have any feelings about their books? The live chat too. Anybody want to say anything?
Oh, it's so good.
I heard it's so.
It is so good.
It is. I'm only on chapter 8, which is page 71, but like it tells you like the basics that she's gonna like start killing people, men that are running things. So I'm at the first one, and I'm just like, yes, kill him.
Yeah, you're definitely in the part that's like outlined on the back of the book, and then things go from there. And like some of it, you don't even know what to expect. It is just it's such a good book.
Oh, I'm so excited.
The ending really threw me off.
The last like 100 pages of it, I was like, I could not put the book down. And then as soon as I finished it, I was like, 1, I need to read it again. 2, I need the sequel. 3, this needs to be like a TV show or a movie. Do it now.
Yes, 100%.
Do we have an ETA of when the second book's coming out?
I haven't heard anything.
I don't know.
Oh man, gotta keep looking at NetGalley.
I mean, it came out near the end of this year, or like 2021, so it could be this year, but at the same time, I don't know how much they've written, so maybe next year too, something around there maybe. I know.
I'm in the middle of a prison break right now, so.
Oh, okay.
Mid-prison break scene.
Mine has dual point of views. So I finished one point of view and now I'm on the second one. So basically what's happening in this book is these 2 kids in elementary school survived a school shooting and now they're getting ready to graduate high school. So it's just like,
wow.
It's tough. I told you.
Yeah.
So.
And to think like, I know it sounds like really bad. Well, it doesn't sound that bad, but like thinking that school shootings have been since then, like elementary to high school, like that's a long time for such a trauma.
Yeah, it's heavy.
So heavy.
Oh yeah. And then I'm in Vengeful, which I know I mentioned a little bit when we first started talking about books having more characters and stuff in them than the first one. And everything that I've read so far is not from any of the 2 like main characters from the first book. I feel like the first book had a much like smaller scope of like what the conflict was, and now they've opened it up so much, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time I was really hoping for more of the other characters, which we do get sometimes, but I haven't gotten anything in the last 20 minutes that we read, so we'll see. And then we have, you were reading the Avengers and X-Men one. So we have some different chapters, different point of views. Okay. And also, the Heir of Fire drama is starting.
Love it.
Yes, I want to know how far into it you are. I want to know which drama.
Yeah, I've heard there's a lot. Again, I don't know anything about this. I think that's the 3rd book.
Yeah,
but...
it's so good.
Hi, Allie.
Yeah, Allie's reading Daughter of the Deep. Okay. Is that the Rick Riordan one?
Is that, yeah,
is that Rick? It is.
Oh, like one of the Rick Riordan Presents or whatever?
No, he wrote it, if it's the one that I'm thinking of.
I think it's
the one
a
that
new
came
one
out
by him.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to read that one. This is one of his, so not a presents, just one of his.
Yeah.
And then Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I'm surprised. I haven't read that one.
Oh, it's good.
But I've heard it's really good.
It's so good. Yeah.
Haven't read it.
And then Yeah, Iron Widow might be 2023 because they have a new book coming out this year. Yeah, they have a middle grade coming out this year. It's like, I think, is it the Theo Tan one? I want to read it.
How can they go ahead? How is it good for their
That's not the
conscience
right one.
to do this to me? To make like an amazing book that everyone loves and then make us wait 2 years.
Zachary Ying. That's the one. The one that I said, Theo Tan, that's Jesse Q. Sutanto. A lot of Asian authors right now seem to also be coming out with middle grades, which I think is really cool. But chelsea.zhao is coming out with Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor. Also middle grade fantasy. But it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be reading, but YouTube shorts are too addicting to stop watching.
That's me when I fall down the TikTok hole.
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok, but I sometimes end up on the Instagrams, like reels. I was going to say stories, and sometimes I do that as well. But the reels of stuff. Everybody just knows how to get you. With all the short videos. And close to the end, it was 4 stars. The ending is making it 5 stars. Okay, The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yeah, I've heard it's
seriously
so good.
It's so good.
Well, that's always exciting when an ending can maybe bring it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if a book is really, really bad, the ending's never going to save it. But it can definitely bring it from a 4 to a 5.
Yeah.
I was going to say, would you all rather prefer a book that has a 5-star beginning and a 4-star ending, or a 4-star beginning and a 5-star ending?
If we're doing 4s and 5s, I would probably say 4-star beginning because I'll keep reading it, and a 5-star ending just like makes it.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
But if you had the opposite, like a 1 or 2-star versus a 5-star, if it's at the beginning, I'm never going to. I'm going to DNF. I'm going to DNF.
Yeah, right.
Well, this is why I have such an issue with DNFing, because that's happened to me where something has been totally meh until the last like 100 pages, and I'm like, oh damn, that was really, really good, and then now I can't DNF things because I'm just kind of like, well, what if it gets really, really, really good?
So far, everybody's agreeing with us. 4-star beginning and 5-star ending.
I just want to throw that out there because
I think that's
a good question.
Yeah. No, I mean, if something's meh, I will usually, like, if I read the entire book and it's meh, I want to say it's probably a 3-star for me. Like, I usually take that as like middle of the road, not horrible, not great. And so if it's a 3-star, I'll probably keep reading. And then if the ending's really good, like, sure.
Yeah.
But if something is like I'm actively not enjoying it, I don't give a shit what the ending is. Even if the ending ends up being amazing. Like, you can tell me, oh, well, you didn't read the whole book. I don't care.
I don't care.
If I can't get through like a good part of it first and actually want to read it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, see, I think I'm the only one that thinks 5-star beginning, 4-star ending.
Really?
I think so, because if I'm reading a book, right? If I'm reading it physically, if you don't catch me in the first 3 chapters, I'm going to put it down, and then Lord knows when I'm picking it back up again.
Okay.
But if, like with Iron Widow, it's taking me a couple days because I'm listening to it audibly and doing a bunch of other things. But like if this didn't catch me, like first chapter, I'm wanting to know more, I don't care how it's going to end because I'm not going to get there. And besides, as long as it ends in a cliffhanger, I'm more than likely going to read the next one.
I hate cliffhangers so much.
Well, and I guess it just depends on like how much you need the beginning to catch you. Because I feel like if anything is at least a 3.5 or 4-star beginning, I'm still going to want to read it. I might do the same sort of thing, especially now when I'm sort of still very hit or miss with reading. Like when my first trimester of this pregnancy, and even with Presley, like I just knew, like my brain doesn't want to do stuff, like anything. And if my brain doesn't want to read, it doesn't want to read. And it just won't happen. So I'm slowly getting into that point where like, oh yeah, I'm being able to read now. Like I've actually read probably like more novels in the last like couple weeks than I have in the last couple months.
Yeah.
But like I might put it down and come back to it. But like at the same time, I don't need it to be amazing at the beginning to want to read it. But if it's not at least like pretty good, then I'm just sort of like, do I want to be here? Like I DNF'd a book this year. I think it was my second book of the entire year at like, I think I read it for about half an hour.
Was this The Brilliant Death?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it.
I gave
and
it,
I saw you
half an hour because I used the Bookly app that like times your reading speed. So
Yeah,
it'll
that's
give
cool.
you an estimate of how long you have left. And so I gave it like half an hour. I think it was like 45 pages, almost 50 pages. And it wasn't bad, but it was definitely just one of those, like I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I could have probably continued and made it like a 3-star, maybe, depending on what it was. But it was like, it's supposed to have really good representation. I think the author is either non-binary, genderqueer, or trans. Like I don't know exactly where they fall under that like trans umbrella. But I think they wrote the book before they were completely out. The name on the book is a little different than what they use now with their other books. And it's supposed to have amazing representation. But I didn't get any of that in that first bit. And so everything was like a girl trying to live up to her, like what her father wants. She has some magic, but it's also a very brutalistic society. And like like the father's almost like a mob type of guy. Like, and I'm just like, I don't care.
That's how I felt. Yeah.
So I'm trying this year, especially because I know my reading's going to be all over the place, that if I'm just not feeling it, like I know it's not for me, I'm going to DNF it and just not rate it and be like, well, this was something that I know personally I'm not into. And I think that's what that book was more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I DNF'd pretty quick.
The comments ask, how many times do you give a book a chance before you DNF it?
So that one I gave one day. One reading session, basically.
I don't DNF.
I don't DNF very often.
I tried really hard to, but there's always that thing in the back of my mind where it's just like, what if it gets really, really good?
Right.
Or it's like the synopsis will be like, oh, this and this is going to happen. And then I'm just like, well, when?
Yes.
I've definitely read some books all the way through where I'm like, okay, the synopsis sounds amazing. And usually you read the synopsis and then you get to the more. And then I've read some books that I just, in my head, I know it's like one of the worst books I've ever read because the synopsis took up 80% of the book and then nothing happened. I was so mad. It was supposed to be like a sci-fi type of thing. And it was just ridiculous.
It's one of my 2022 goals to do better at DNFing this year.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
Same, actually, because I think I DNF'd 9 books last year, which is not a ton. So actually this question, like how many times do you give a book? Last year, I would say I tried a lot harder to read more. Like I don't think I DNF'd hardly any after like one time. I definitely gave it a couple days or a couple sessions. And if I just still was not trying to pick it up, then I eventually was like, you know what, maybe it's not for me. This time I'm just like, if I know, I know. The whole time I was reading The Brilliant Death, I was like, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. How long am I going to read this? I don't care. It took me half an hour.
I might DNF my first book. I don't know yet. It's not this one, obviously, but I don't know.
You're like your first book ever?
Yeah, so I am weird on DNFs. Like,
that's okay.
There's very few books that I can say, yes, I have DNF'd. I'm not picking that back up. But there's other times where I'm like, oh, it's the end of the month and I didn't finish this book and I'm only a couple pages in, so I'm just going to put it down and then I don't pick it back up. Not because I don't want to, but because I'm just like, well,
I don't really count those as DNFs personally, just because like, if I feel like I didn't get far enough in, then I'm not currently reading it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like for me at least, and I don't know, there's some people that I think do count that as DNFs. Like I didn't finish it yet. For me, a DNF is literally I will never come back to that.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I'll start a book and I haven't even made it like 5% in and I know it's not working. So I just put it as like, okay, this never happened. Like, just kidding. But like a true DNF for me is I at least try to get 25% in and then I mark it as, okay, I tried this and it didn't work for me. Yeah. So I think everyone's just different.
I have one book from all of 2021 that I count as having DNF'd, and that's because I made it 70% of the way through and I still didn't care about anything that was happening. So I skim read the last 30% and I was like, all right, we're done here.
No, 70% is actually sort of impressive if you're getting to that point.
Yeah.
Is that the one about the witch?
It was City of Iron and Dust? I think it was City of Iron.
No, I was thinking the one that, oh no, you finished that one. That was your lowest scored one.
That was terrible. No, I read that. I just read it all the way till the end.
Well, and see, I've done that before, like getting to a point where you're just like, I'm going to hate read this now.
It was so bad.
I don't do that very often,
like there was misogyny and fat phobia and just all of the awfulness that you could even imagine. Like I highlighted a whole bunch of stuff in like my Goodreads like notes for it because I was like, this is the worst book that I think I have ever read, and it's a prime example of a man trying to write a woman.
Yep.
The worst.
It was this one. That's the one that I DNF'd.
Interesting. I've never heard of that one. Well, now I don't have to read it, so.
Yeah, right?
No, honestly, I think it was me. I think that there are a lot of people that would like it. It was just very poetic, prosy. Something was weird.
I don't like that either.
Something was weird about it, but it was like goblins were the ruling class and like humans were the ones being oppressed and like the magic system was cool and it was fine. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing about finding good people, like especially like with booktube stuff, like people that share your same type of reading style. Like I do follow people that I'm like, I don't like most of the stuff that you read and you don't like most of the stuff that like I read, but like we're friends. But when you can find people that actually have the same taste, and then as soon as somebody's like, well, this happened and I wasn't too sure about this, a lot of the times you're like, well, I know then I probably won't enjoy it. Or the people that do the opposite were like, oh, well, I didn't like that this was in the book. And it's like, well, then maybe I would like it because you don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So there have been times when a book was like, meh, 2 stars beginning, but the last third of the book brought it up to 4. I mean, it can happen. I'm just more likely to not read it.
Yeah.
I have FOMO.
Well, and see, I can sort of understand that. I think it's more of the people that come out of the woodwork when you're like, oh, well, I DNF'd this book for whatever reason it was, even if it's just, I don't like the book. And they're like, well, you didn't read the last 10 pages. And it's like, really? Like, that's going to turn me over to liking this book was you specifically saying that I need to read the last, like, 10 pages to get it. Right. Like, that kind of stuff.
Sometimes really hard to get.
Sometimes really hard to get through the first part. Yeah. I do think the first parts are important.
A lot of exposition.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on the writer, too. Like, what kind of book you're reading, I guess, too. That's probably why I don't read a lot of like literary fiction, because if I'm really bored at the beginning of a book, which seems to have a lot more of like the traditional exposition, I don't want to do it. And then you get like fantasy or sci-fi or that kind of stuff where usually they'll throw you into some sort of action at the beginning and then bring the exposition back in the next like chapter or two. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Struggle to DNF in case there is something that changes the opinion of the book.
Yeah. Right? I'm scarred from my Throne of Glass experience because I DNF'd Throne of Glass and then I came back and I love that series now. Like, I'm scarred.
I mean, I understand the concept of it. I don't think I personally remember anything like this, which is probably why I'm more likely to DNF, because I don't remember having, like, reading an actual book where I'm like, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And then it was better. So when you have that personally, I can understand the whole, like, but what if it happens again? Try to push through about 20 to 25% before putting it down.
Me too.
my limit before used to be about 100 pages. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because I was reading like a lot of, I guess, like the YA sort of stuff where most books are around 300, 400 pages or so. So that gives you a good 25, 30% chunk. Mm-hmm. But then when you read a book that's like 700, 800 pages, if you're not doing anything in the first 100 because it's not to like 20% yet, I don't know what to tell you. It's still 100 pages.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more struggling with DNFs. Seems to be a big thing, I feel like, in the book community. And I think that's probably why there's a lot of stigma with some people DNFing, which, again,
you do you, boo-boo.
Pro DNF.
Getting through the first half of the book can be worth it. Letting DNF books and also unhaul without giving a chance. I mean, I do that sometimes, too, if I know that I've outgrown some stuff that I've had for forever on these shelves. And I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for that anymore.
Well, I'm totally stealing one of your video ideas, Chelsea, because my plan is to, you know how you did that unhaul project? where you
like
read the
Untitled Chapter.
Yeah, I'm absolutely doing that because I just did a bookshelf reorganization and pulled a bunch of books off my shelf, and I was like, I don't want to get rid of this yet, but like, I don't have any plans to read this right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with all my high school books, because I still have books from high school, like the House of Night series.
Okay.
Yeah, Vampire Academy.
Oh, Vampire Academy is good though.
No,
if you want to know what we think,
it's so
it is so good. But I don't know, like, if I still want to read it again, or if it's a situation where I can buy it for my Kindle app and then be done with it.
I will say I reread it last year. I went through the whole thing back to front, and it was still good.
I mean, I will say
I did that. I think exactly 2 years ago.
I read it. Well, see, okay. Am I the oldest person in this?
We're the same age. I'm 32 this year.
Okay. Because I was gonna say I just want to know exactly where I am, because you said you read it like couple years ago, last year, whatever. I read it for the first time. Never had read it when I was younger. When I was 26. So
me
that was
too.
Like the first time I read the whole series.
Me too.
And it was still really, really good.
It's so good.
Yeah, I will have to say that the end couple was not the couple I wanted to be endgame, but
I was okay with it.
I mean, I wasn't mad about it, but like those like middle books bring in that like love triangle situation, and I was like,
oh yeah,
Did you read Bloodlines?
I have not, mostly because I hate the covers.
So I think I read the first 2, and I didn't like it as much. I couldn't get, because I don't like the other guy.
Oh, wait, really?
Am I the only one that's read both of the series?
Maybe. I think part of the reason I didn't pick up Vampire Academy when it first came out is because I hated the covers. And so I have the ones that are like, they took that weird, really early 2000s like scheme and they made it so hard to read. And then they just have like the color with like the VA on it. And I'm like, I like this better. I'll read those. They never updated the Bloodlines ones. And so when those were coming out, I was like, I hate the covers.
I promise you guys, Bloodlines is actually worth it. Like
I've heard it's better than Vampire Academy, is what I've heard a lot of people say. And I know it's a personal opinion, but that's what I've heard.
I don't know that I agree with it, but like I have nostalgia associated with Vampire Academy. Like I think I read them all in college for the first time. So like I wasn't young, but like I really, really loved them in preparation for the movie coming out. And I was like really excited about the movie, which was like, okay.
Yeah.
I watched the movie first, actually.
Oh no.
I liked the movie enough to pick up the books.
Yeah.
I liked the movie.
Because I hadn't read anything. I had nothing to compare it to. I was just like, oh, this is fun.
The characters in Bloodlines get better, I promise.
Okay. That's good to know.
I actually read Vampire Academy when I was a sophomore in high school. Like when it was first coming out, I was a sophomore. So I was just like eating that up because I was a goth kid. I still kind of am. But so anything vampire, I was like all over it. So I read it then. So I think I need to reread it because like right now I'm like, I know it's a good series, but I couldn't tell you.
It's still so good. I'm not kidding.
I'm not it as a 26-year-old.
Yeah.
Still loved it.
Seriously, it like ages well. Like there's nothing.
There's no weird like early 2000s,
not like House of
late
Night.
90s like weird stuff put in there. Like why'd we say this?
Yeah,
that's always good.
Yeah, not like Vampire Diaries.
I never read those, so
I read them before the TV show came out. Like I read them when I was in probably, I don't know, like middle school, junior high-ish, and I read the first like 3 or 4 and I was like, this is pretty weird. The TV show is way better.
Is that an adult series or is that also YA?
It's YA.
There's so many vampire series that I'm just like, which one is this?
It's YA. It's not great. It's the same.
Okay.
It's not.
Oh, is it those are the LJ Smith ones, aren't they? Okay.
I read The Secret Circle. Yeah, The Secret Circle by LJ Smith was also not good. So if that's
I just started reading the Night World series by her last year. The first book I gave like 4 stars. They're very, very short, like mass market, 200 pages.
Yeah.
Don't have a ton of plot in them necessarily. But it was so funny in the first book because they were talking about dial-up internet.
Oh my god!
Aging it up a little bit.
One I really liked because it had more witchy stuff in it, and I liked that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've read some of her other stuff, and sometimes I'm just like, okay.
That series never finished, right?
Nope. And I knew that when I started them. I've never read them before. I bought them because of like the 90s looking covers last year, and then I started reading them last year, knowing that it's never been finished. But so far, the books read like companion novels. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping it's not like anything too crazy, because like the first book and the second book were connected by like a side character. Like both of them had side characters that were like in it a little bit. So it wasn't like a direct sequel. So maybe that'll help. But yeah, no, it never got finished. I think the last book was supposed to come out like 15, 20 years ago.
I was saying, I think it's been a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah. So Autumn has read, I have Concrete Rose, and I've started it 3 times last year, but only got 3 chapters in max.
I thought that was good. I didn't think it was as good as The Hate You Give, but it was a good prequel. I also listened to the audiobook, and I thought the narrator was really good, if that's helpful.
Well, and I've done like if I know I don't want to DNF something, I've also transferred over to like an audiobook, and sometimes that can really help you get through it. And not even just like get through it, but like make it better depending on what you're reading. So
that's my go-to method of if I'm really not feeling something, I just find the audiobook.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite way. If I'm not feeling the audiobook, then I'll pick it up physically. So
yeah, I've always been a more physical reader, and so audiobooks, like I want to do them more, but sometimes I feel like my brain doesn't necessarily listen when it should.
It took me a long time.
I think it's also because I'm a visual learner. Like and especially like in school and everything, like I can listen to a lecture and know stuff, but like I would have to have like some sort of notes or write stuff down. But also if I was giving like a textbook to read, like I would just know stuff. Like I just needed more, I guess, of the visual stuff than auditory. So sometimes my brain just doesn't want to do it.
I feel you. It took me a really long time, but
hey, once you get going.
Exactly.
Before now, I haven't had any audiobooks in a little while. I would read them in the car, like on the way to Presley's speech therapy appointments.
Yep.
But he graduated, so there's no more going in the car to speech therapy.
Congratulations.
It's great. He has tons of new words now. Not all of them are pronounced correctly, but we don't have to go every single week anymore. But that means I now don't have
time to listen to audiobooks.
Every single week.
Maybe pre-K. Pre-K is next.
I know. We'll see how the world is by then.
I know.
If the 3rd time isn't the charm, it's leaving my house.
That's a good rule.
That is a pretty good rule. Like if you actually pick it up and try and you're not entirely too sure, 3 times seems pretty good to me. Hi, Fee. And then, so Allie did read Vampire Academy in high school and now wants to reread.
It's worth the reread. I will say the audiobooks suck. There's like different narrators for each and every single book, even though it's Rose's perspective, which doesn't make any sense. So do not recommend these audiobooks at all.
That is very interesting.
It's so stupid. They like hire different people. I don't know.
I don't understand, but okay.
Neither.
Never read any of the mentioned series. I mean, Vampire Academies, when we were talking about that's definitely an older one. And even though I feel like some people are starting to get back into the older series, like people on TikTok and stuff are pulling up some of the more nostalgia ones, I don't think I've really seen that stuff come back.
Kat, we're hearing echo.
Oh, sorry. It's been the same volume the whole time.
I think it's because you muted and then unmuted.
Okay.
Shame
John started laundry in the background, and I was like, ugh.
Hi, John.
Z says hi.
Try the audiobook.
John says hi.
Yeah, definitely try the audiobook. I feel like just in case.
Good audiobook. Concrete Rose. It was good.
And then Kat, what was the book that you hate read? They want to know.
People want to know, Kat.
People want to know.
Okay. It was called How to Be a Badass Vigilante.
Interesting. Okay.
Sounds epic. Has a very Black Widow-ish cover. She's like in tight ass pants and she's about to jump onto a motorcycle. And I was like, this sounds great. It was not. Don't go there. Don't do that to yourself.
Kat, I'm sure it was better than that one book I read.
You know, honestly, they might have been evenly terrible.
I read, it was a video I had up forever ago, but I read dinosaur pornography as a dare for one of my friends, and it was awful. Nate brings it up. Nate will still bring it up to this day.
That's when you know you have a legacy, right?
Oh no!
Hey, it's gotta
Video's
have a
down
follow-up
now,
video. There's a lot more in that series.
No.
That
I love
was
myself.
enough, apparently. Yeah, I mean, sometimes. Okay. That makes me want to read it now.
I hope you're not talking
Which
about
one? Which one?
Because listen,
Which
it's
book do you
on
wanna read?
KU. I mean, it's available for everybody to do what they will.
Wait, who was the
I
author?
didn't warn you. Michael Anderle.
Oh man. Oh.
that was the reason that she hate read it.
99% of the issue, I promise you.
Never mind.
Ew, a man?
Ew, a man? Sorry.
Perfect response right
Sorry if there.
Okay. Do we want to do another reading sprint?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll come back at 34.
Don't forget to mute. Okay, it's time to come back.
That seemed to fly by.
You feel like you're a little bit like a little teacher, like, come on in, recess is over.
Well, I'm trying not to be like, hi guys! Scare the hell out of everybody.
I mean, that'd be interesting.
I know, but I'm trying to be nicer.
Although I actually did teach at a school at one point with Title 1 was like what I did. So I did like small groups of stuff, but we would sometimes do like recess duty and stuff like that. And trust me, when it's time to go back in, you yell at the kids. It's not
Like,
go to class, go now. Yeah. Okay, so we can talk about books and stuff too, although it looks like Rye's been filming instead, but that's also exciting.
Being all productive and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and
film.
film. I know, I gotta try and film today.
Yeah, I filmed yesterday because I knew I was doing this, so I'm gonna have to edit tomorrow probably.
I filmed yesterday, but we're gonna be gone for a week, so I have to film to cover that week too.
Yeah, I know tomorrow's my birthday, but at the same time, my video is supposed to go up on Tuesday, and I probably won't do it today. We'll see. I might do it today. We'll see. Presley's been in this big, like, I need to be with mommy at all times thing, which, I mean, he's always been a big mama's boy, but I think since I got pregnant, he's been a little bit more. And so, like, I'll end up, like, him on my lap editing with my mouse. And I'm just like, can't you go bug daddy? We'll see. So did you finish your, what was it, a prison break, Kat?
They are out of the prison break. No, it's so one of the characters that's like the series is called The Rook and the Rose, and it's because in the first book there's this character called the Rook, and he's very Robin Hood-y, kind of like secret hero for the masses kind of a thing. And the other main character keeps trying to guess who it is. And the first, like, towards the end of the first book, we find out who it is. And she's just, like, consistently wrong. And in this one, she was, like, on the right track. And then something happened. And she was like, oh, I guess it's not that person. And I was like, no. We were almost done with this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, knowing stuff that the character doesn't?
Mixed feelings.
Because the whole first book, you didn't know either, right? And you said that you guys, like, you found it out near the end.
Yeah, I had strong guesses about who it was. Mm-hmm. And unlike the main character, my guesses were right in the end. So they weren't like
still guessing.
Yeah, now she's still guessing, and she's still wrong, and she's like, she shouldn't be wrong. Like, she was on, there's reasons for her to think now, like, oh, because he's trying to keep her from guessing too. Mm-hmm. So, like, but he knows who she is, and she's a con woman, so she has, like, many different personalities. So, like, he knows all of them. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's very one-sided. I don't know. I just want her to find out already, because I kind of ship them a lot.
Okay, so you needed to get over with to get to more.
Yep. What about you guys?
I finally got to some characters that we know from the first book. I mean, I'm probably going to have to, like, read the whole book to, like, fully figure it out. But, like, if I had to judge right now, I think it would be more like a 4-star, because I'm very interested in how the whole, like, powers and things work. And we're getting a lot more characters, especially female characters, which everything's morally gray, but that also means that they're very strong female characters, which is very interesting. But that whole first book was very much Victor and Eli doing a conflict. And then now we have them in it, sometimes doing their own thing. And I feel like some of the stuff that they're doing, I feel like would be a little bit more interesting to me personally, because it has, like, direct consequences from the first book. But then we have so many chapters of new people that I'm conflicted, because we also have different timelines. Like, each chapter will be like 3 years ago, 3 weeks ago, 10 years ago. Like, it's just like, it'll jump around a lot. And so I'm just like, there's a lot more to keep track of now because of all the different people.
I heard that. Does it happen a lot where, like, those jump around, like, all over the place, or is it kind of linear?
right now, I'm in a part where like everything is 3 weeks ago, and like each chapter will be like, so we're following this character and then this character and then this character and then this character, and it's all 3 weeks ago. There was some at the beginning of it to like show us the origins of the new characters, or like some of the new characters, so that did have some jumping around. The first book has a lot of 10 years ago, 2 weeks ago, last night, 10 years ago. And so because like the first book is their origin story, and then today-ish basically of like what the actual conflict is. So it jumps between mostly those two time periods, plus a little bit in between. And so I didn't mind it too much. And then this one currently, like I said, we're not jumping around too much, but there's a lot more characters. So when there was some of the time period stuff at the beginning of the book, it was a little bit like harder to keep track of just because there's so much more.
Yeah.
Everybody else good?
Let's see. So I'm back at the like main guys. There's 2 points of view, but they're like the one guy is mostly the main character, and he is stressing me out because he is a type 1 diabetic and he like won't take his medicine, and I'm like, can you please take your medicine? And like I don't know the reason why he's like sabotaging himself. So
hopefully there is a reason.
Probably not. He's a teenage
like,
boy.
Get a pump and have like leave it on. I mean, not all type 1s have the pump, but like I know somebody in real life who does, and like that, like she still has to like double check certain things, and like sometimes it'll go off in the middle of the night and wake her up because of numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like she's had it for I don't even know how long, because she had it before I met her, and it's like she's in college right now. One of my students from back when I was teaching.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like having to do some of that stuff without it. Yeah, it would stress me out too, probably, to read that.
I'm stressing.
Yeah.
One of my best friends from high school is a type 1 diabetic. She, I mean, I've known her since we were 11 years old, and she had it before then too. And it would also wake her up in the middle of the night, and she would like, her sugar would suddenly bottom out or like skyrocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My stepmother's the same way, except for she doesn't care. She has the pump, and she still eats whatever she wants and drinks a bunch of alcohol.
So this is what this kid is doing. Yeah, it's stressing. Does it stress you out? Because I'm stressed out, and he's a fictional character, and I'm like, okay.
It definitely relates to real life. I feel like sometimes when you're like, come on,
what are you doing, sir?
It makes it harder to read.
Make better decisions.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm stressed.
So what about you, Z? Still doing good?
Yeah, I thought that he was dead, and I don't know if he's dead because we haven't gone back to him. She's right now controlling everything, and we don't know if he's dead or not. And I'm like, can you just tell me he's dead, please? Like,
stressed out.
Save me this, because
read and find out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not too far from where they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to hit chapter 9.
Okay.
I read at 1.25 speed, so
not too bad. Yeah,
they don't drag it out.
Yeah, I eventually went into 2, but
okay, Autumn. So let me tell you. So I definitely recommend the second one. I actually think that one was my favorite of the series. However, I hated the third one. And Rye, if you're still here, she will let you know that it's not good. And I don't want to spoil anything because obviously, but God, it should have only been a duology, and that should have been it, because the third book ruins everything.
So is there like a cliffhanger at the end of the second one, or can people just treat it as a duology? Just don't go into the third book.
You can. I would absolutely.
There we go. Advice from Michelle. Just treat it like
it was also one of my most disappointing books.
Right.
Yeah, same. I think I got an arc of it, and I put my review under like spoilers, and a lot of people came up to me after it came out, and they were like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I know."
Interesting.
The third book is bad. Yeah, I know. It should have stopped.
And hey, Bree. Thanks for
Hi.
dropping in.
Hi.
I love that. Just ouch.
Ouch. That's how I felt.
That's rough.
That's always disappointing when like you like the first one so much.
And I thought the second one was great. Like it tied up a lot of like loose ends and stuff. And then the third one was, I would say, a money grab.
Yeah.
I hate
disappointing.
that.
Right? Like I was so excited to read it because I was like, this series is good. Like it's different. And then I was reading it and I was like, absolutely awful. The worst.
Oh, man.
I was reading like the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik. The
Yep.
what was the first one?
Deadly Education.
Deadly Education, yeah, which I really, really liked. And then I read The Last Graduate. I had an arc of it last year. Loved it until the very last page. And I was like,
Oh, that's such a betrayal.
you bumped it down too far.
That's
That's
the
how much
worst.
like it
You
was
bumped it down 2 stars?
I bumped it down 2 star. Like it was a 5-star read until the very last page. And I was like, solid 3-star just because I hate how much this ended that much.
Interesting. Oh, that's horrible though.
That's
the
rough.
most blatant of money grabbing cliffhangers. Like there was absolutely no need for you to not get one more page of resolution, and it just cut off. And you know there's not going to be another book for another year. There's no need for it. You don't need to end it that way.
Well, I feel like this is where I feel with cliffhangers. Like some people hate them. Some people love them. It is obviously a publishing author choice to get people to read more books. But I feel like there's 2 different types of cliffhangers. There's the ones that like, yeah, that still has some open-ended stuff going into more of the series, but you have some sort of resolution to whatever the main arc of that one book is.
Right.
And then you have the ones that are like literally in the middle of action or the climax. Like I've read some books. I think the ones that I hated that they did this. I think it was indie published, which I mean, I don't want to like say it was like amazing before that because like some indie books are amazing, but they literally the whole book that I was reading felt like exposition, setting stuff up, getting to the plot, climax, ending. It was literally it ended in the middle of what I would consider the actual climax of the book.
No.
Because there was nothing else to like. There was literally no other climax. It was literally in the middle. And then the second book, because I was like, okay, they were very, very cheap. I'm going to just continue. The second one started off with the climax and then continued. And then I think I ended up probably even DNFing that one because then it just didn't really do anything. I was just like, how are you going to end a book literally in the middle? And that cliffhanger, I can't stand those.
Yeah, that's the kind that drops it down multiple stars for me. And that's what happened in The Last Graduate because like the entire book had been leading up to what was going on in this end scene. And then you are literally 1 page away from all of that like stuff happening and being over with. Like, and it was okay because you knew there was going to be more that needed to happen after that.
Right.
But like you were 1 page away from that being done. And then you didn't get that 1 page.
No, that's
no.
That's rough.
Is there another one, or is
There's gonna
that
be a third one.
Okay? I'm like, is that how it ends, or what?
I
No,
know.
that would be
If
even
that
worse.
had the series ended, it would have been like a 1 star.
I know. Okay. I mean, are you gonna read it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to find out what happens next.
Okay, I'm just making sure because now I'm stressing for you.
A lot of stress going on right now.
I'm stressed.
Well, the Aurora Cycle did that to me too, by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Like the second book, straight up cliffhanger, right in the middle of everything happening. And the third book was good.
I haven't read the third one yet. I feel like I don't know. The second book, I didn't mind the cliffhanger too much, but at the same time, it was definitely like they were getting into stuff. Some of the stuff I felt like some things had been fixed enough that I wasn't like pissed off about it. But yeah, that was a big old cliffhanger at the end of that second book.
That cliffhanger did not bother me nearly as much as this one did. And the third book, I liked better than the second book, but not as much as the first book.
Yeah, I didn't like the second book as much as the first book, so I need to read the third one. I have it, but haven't read it yet.
So I feel about Cruel Prince. I have almost finished the first book. And Kat gave me the other ones.
I did.
I've had the first one for forever, it feels like. Never read it. And then I feel like I've seen this sentiment a few times. Some people, it feels like they absolutely love this trilogy and it can do no wrong.
Right.
But overall, I feel like this is what I've heard is the first two were good and the last one was not good. Like it was just not good.
Yeah.
I'll report back.
I think it's I haven't
The first book was
started
not
it.
for me.
And that happens. I haven't even picked it up at all.
It was actually like on one of my most disappointing lists of 2020.
Really?
Like,
I'm not gonna read it. This is
was
not
like
the
the
book
first
for me.
book that I read in
Oh no!
2020.
Yeah,
And
you gotta start off with a good book.
I would have thought so, but I like got to the end and I was like, this is what people love. Like that's why I read it, because everybody was obsessed with it. And I was like, I don't like any of these people. Which I think is the point.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger
That is just rude.
only acceptable if the next book is
It
coming
is
out. And
rude.
Yeah.
if you're giving a cliffhanger and the next book is
Absolutely.
1 to 2 years, it's just rude.
It is rude.
Absolutely.
So rude.
Yeah, I feel like most of us can agree with this. I think it's hard with the 6 to 8 months just because like traditional publishing is that 1 to 2 year. But I also feel like this is why a lot of the times I will wait to read a series until it's done. And then I will marathon the entire thing. But I will say that I'm that person that still supports the author and buys all of the books before I start
Good
to
for
read them.
you.
Because, I will have all of the books and I will have not started them. And then I will read them and hopefully like them.
I'm looking at my shelves, and that is like most of my books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all do that? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, speaking of the Vampire Academy, we were talking about that. That's what I did with this. Like, I mean, the books were obviously really published a long time ago before I read them, but I bought the entire 6 books or whatever.
See, okay, so I read them. Yeah, I read them from the library, and then it was so good that I went and bought them anyway. So I was like, okay, well,
I need to. I think I have all of that Vampire Academy on ebook, and then I borrowed all of Bloodlines from the library, and I don't have any physical copies of any of them.
Now I want to read Bloodlines, so let me put that.
I do need to read that. I just maybe need to see if I can borrow them because literally did not read them because I did not like the covers.
I'm looking at the
I
audio.
am that person.
The
I'm
characters...
a cover buyer, and then I apparently a cover not buyer if it's not good.
I do judge books by covers.
I do also.
I do too.
But it doesn't, even if it has a bad cover, it doesn't necessarily stop me from reading it.
No,
like,
it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but
I just have to hear like the reviews and be like, okay.
That too. And it might put me off for longer. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I know I should read this. I've heard amazing things, but maybe I don't want to read it quite yet.
Yeah.
And it's bad. I know you're not supposed to, but I do it.
We all do it.
We all do
We do.
it.
Just bookworm problems. Okay, and then before we end, because I am going to have to do lunch for the kids soon, I did want to say that I'm doing a birthday giveaway for a $32 Amazon gift card or book depository. I think the link should be down in the description. I will also post on social media and stuff like that. But if anybody, I should say, wants to do that, it's going to be up for 2 weeks. So I think it'll close on January 30th, and I'll announce the winner on the 31st. And so, yeah, anybody can do it. It's like a raffle copter thing, so it makes it easy to pick. And it's $32 gift card. My husband's like, why? I'm like, because I'm turning 32. I thought it was cute. And he's like, really? I'm like, normally I do 25, so I get an extra $7, guys.
Which will cover tax and shipping.
Right, exactly. There you go. I say I don't judge books
we
by
all
their covers
do.
and titles,
We
but
all
yeah.
Covers are my kryptonite, man.
I will be
about
more
John
likely
Gwynne.
to buy a book if it has a pretty cover, but I will be not more likely to not buy a book. Like, it's not the same in the opposite.
Yeah.
I
bought
think
John Gwynn's Shadow of the Gods because there's a wyvern on it.
Yeah, I'm more likely to probably buy pretty books, but at the same time, if it's not that great, sometimes it is an ebook purchase instead.
Yeah.
And
it's cheaper.
That is true. Sometimes if I'm not entirely too sure about something or the cover's not amazing, it's an ebook first. And then if I love it anyway, I mean, I'll probably buy a physical copy. So
Oh yeah.
I'll have the not so pretty books on my shelf too. It's okay.
They're at the bottom of your bookshelf.
Where you
Actually,
can't see
I do my bookshelves by age and then genre and then author's last name. So not just hiding down there to hide down there.
Oh, but mine are.
Mine have recently been reorganized, so it's mostly by genre and then author's last name.
Yeah. Learning that they don't enjoy books with pretty covers.
That's how they get you, though. They make the covers pretty, so you buy it, and then it's not a good book.
I do feel like we have a little bit more mediocre books out right now, just because like there's so many books out. But in general, I think traditional publishing has started to really go into certain trends with covers that I personally feel are really pretty. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if a book has a pretty cover, that it's going to be amazing. But if it's a pretty cover, it's like I'm a moth to a flame. Like I want it.
Luminous by Mara Rutherford.
They know what they're doing.
I read Luminous by Mara Rutherford last year, and I had read A Crown of Coral and Pearl by her before, and I really, really liked that because the cover was beautiful. And Luminous, totally different series, but like new release, same author, and the cover gives very like 1920s Hollywood vibes. Which has nothing to do with the contents of this YA fantasy novel. But
that's annoying too.
Definitely felt very like 3-star mediocre, did not care about anything that was happening throughout the entire thing. And I was like, but the cover was so pretty.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. Well, I think I'm going to end the broadcast here.
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish you was a birthday.
Snuck it in.
That's great. My favorite birthday song. I learned this at like a summer camp, and it literally is just like, "This is your birthday song. It isn't very long."
Very long. Have you heard the second verse?
No, because it's not very long. No. If there is a second verse,
it's short.
I love that. That's great. Okay, we're gonna log off. Bye, guys.
Bye.